When I was like 8 years old, I made a friend in about 45 seconds. Walked up to some kid at recess, said, "You want to play?" He said, "Yeah." That was it. Done. We were inseparable for like 3 years after that. 3 years from one sentence. I'm in my 20s now, and I genuinely could not tell you how to do that. Like, the process is completely gone. I don't know when it left or what replaced it, but whatever replaced it is way worse and involves a lot more waiting for someone to text back, and then convincing yourself they hate you when they don't respond within the hour. And I don't think a lot of people are saying this out loud, because admitting that you don't really know how to make friends as an adult feels embarrassing somehow. Like, you missed a class everyone else attended, so nobody says anything and everyone just kind of suffers through it quietly. So, when you were a kid, it was easy because you don't have to try. You were just stuck in the same room with the same people every single day, 5 days a week, for years. And eventually some of them became your friends. Not because you were particularly charming or interesting or had good conversation skills. Just because you were there. Proximity, repetition, a shared experience. That's literally all it took. The reason was already built in. You were both just going to be at the same place tomorrow whether you liked it or not. And from that forced coexistence, friendships just kind of grew on their own, like mold. Not the most flattering comparison, but you get what I mean. And then that stops. School ends, or you move, or you graduate, or you get a job somewhere new. And suddenly there's no room anymore. No built-in structure. No forced proximity. And you realize that without that, making friends is actually kind of a skill. A real skill that requires effort and intention and a willingness to be a little vulnerable. And nobody taught you that skill because when you needed friends before, you never had to think about it. So now you're out here trying to figure it out from scratch. And it's uncomfortable. And it's awkward. And honestly, it's a little embarrassing that something that used to happen automatically now feels like something you have to strategize about. Or at least that's how it felt for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just bad at this. But I don't think I am. I think this situation is just genuinely harder than people admit. One thing I noticed, and this took me a while to actually understand, is that by the time you're in your mid-20s, most people already have their people, like their core group, the ones they've known since high school or college or whatever. And they're kind of done. Not in a mean way, not deliberately. They're just full, already at capacity, already dealing with the friends they have, and not really looking to add anyone new. And adding a new person takes energy. You have to talk to them, get to know them, figure out if you actually like them, figure out if they actually like you. And there's a real chance it doesn't work out and you wasted all that effort on someone you're never gonna see again after the third hangout. So a lot of people just don't bother. They're polite, they're friendly, but they're not looking. So when you meet someone and you really click with them, like genuinely click, the conversation is good, you have stuff in common, you both leave thinking that was actually fun. It doesn't automatically turn into anything. Because from your side, you're thinking, oh, this could be something. And from their side, it was just a nice conversation. And they go home and get back to their actual life and you never hear from them again. And that gap between what you think is happening and what's actually happening is where I think most potential friendships just die before they even really start. And it's nobody's fault. It's just that you were looking for something they weren't looking for. And then even when both people are actually interested, even when there's genuine mutual interest and you both leave thinking, yeah, I'd like to see that person again, nobody follows up. You exchange numbers. You say the thing, yeah, we should hang out sometime, which at this point might be the most meaningless sentence in the English language. And then you both go home and wait for the other person to text first because neither of you wants to seem like you care too much, like you're too eager, like you need this more than they do. So you wait. And they wait, and a week goes by, and then 2 weeks. And at some point it starts to feel weird to reach out because it's been too long now. So you don't. And that's it. That's the whole friendship. One good conversation and then nothing. I've had this happen probably a dozen times in the last few years. And every single time, I was waiting for them to text first because I didn't want to seem desperate. And they were probably doing the exact same thing. We both wanted the same outcome and we both did nothing. Cool. Great. Great system we've built here. And sometimes you do reach out. Sometimes you're the one who texts first. And they say, yeah, definitely. We should do something soon. And then nothing happens. You suggest a specific day, they say they'll check their schedule, and then you never hear back. Or they cancel day of. Or they just stop responding and you're left wondering what you did wrong, even though you probably didn't do anything wrong. They just weren't that invested, which is fine, but it still feels bad. I'll be honest, and I don't love admitting this. I've had a lot of people in my life at various points that I would have called friends if someone asked. People I hung out with, people I laughed with, people I texted semi-regularly, and I genuinely thought those were real friendships. I thought I was doing fine in that department. And then something happened. Nothing dramatic, just a bad stretch. One of those periods where things aren't going great and your head's not in a good place. And I went through my contacts trying to figure out who I could actually call. Like actually call. Not text, not send a meme to, but call and talk to like a real person. And I just kind of stared at my phone. Because most of the people I thought of as friends were more like people I was friendly with, people I liked, people who liked me, but not people who actually knew me, not people where I could call them and say, hey, I'm having a hard time. Can we talk? And have that be a normal thing. That's a weird feeling, having a full contact list and not knowing who to call. The friends I actually trust, and it's a small number, I'll just say that, I've known for a long time, years. We go back, and since the time since I've known them, I genuinely haven't found many people who operate on that same level. Whether that's because I'm not putting myself out there enough or because adult friendship is just structurally harder, or both. I genuinely don't know. Probably both. But it's a specific kind of lonely when you realize it. The kind where you're not technically alone, but you kind of are. There's also just no script for it anymore. Like when you were a kid, there was a script. You walked up. You asked if they wanted to play. Done. When you were in high school, there was a script. You sat next to someone in class. You complained about the homework together. You started sitting together at lunch. The script was built into the environment. Now there's nothing. You're just out here improvising. And if you try to be too friendly with someone you just met, it reads as weird. You have to be friendly, but not too friendly. Interested, but not desperate. Open, but not intense. You're trying to thread this needle where you seem like a person who has their life together and also genuinely wants to get to know someone and also isn't weird about it. It's like a job interview, except the job is just having someone to get food with on a Friday. Which when I say it like that, yeah, it's exhausting. No wonder people give up. And then there's the interest problem. When you're in school, everyone's living basically the same life. You have built-in shared context. Now you meet someone and ask what they're into, and it's nothing even close to what you do. Or it is, but they're way more into it than you in a way that feels like a commitment. Or you have surface-level stuff in common, but nothing that actually generates a real conversation. And the whole thing just kind of fizzles before it ever had a chance to go anywhere. Most people are perfectly nice. It just doesn't go anywhere. There's no friction, no depth, no reason to keep talking. Just two people being polite to each other and then going home. Okay, so I want to give some actual advice here. And I'll say up front that I'm not entirely sure how useful this is going to be because making friends is not a formula. It's not a thing where you follow the steps and the steps work. Some of this might apply to you and some of it might not. So take it for what it is. The thing that I genuinely think works the most, and this is going to sound almost too simple, is just doing something you actually like in a place where other people are also doing it. That's it. That's the whole tip. Find a thing and go do the thing with other people who like the thing. If you go to the gym, go at the same time every day. You will see the same people. You will start to recognize each other. And eventually, one of you will say something about a weight or a machine or whatever. And that's a conversation. And that's the start of something. I know two people who met at an LA Fitness on a Tuesday morning 3 years ago. And now they're genuinely close friends. That's it. Same gym, same time, showed up consistently. If you're into games, there are Discord servers for literally everything. Every game, every genre, every niche interests. Find one. Get in there. Talk to people. Show up consistently. The consistency is the whole thing. You can't go once and expect anything. You have to keep going back until you're a familiar presence. Until people know your name or your username or whatever. Until you're part of the thing. And when you do connect with someone, and this is the part where I think most people mess it up, follow up. Actually follow up. Don't wait for them to text first. Send the text. Suggest a specific thing on the specific day. Yeah, it feels a little vulnerable. Yeah, there's a chance they're not that interested and it's awkward. But the alternative is two people who both wanted the same thing doing nothing about it, and then going home separately, which happens constantly, and it's a waste. Also, and I know this sounds like a poster in a school counselor's office, just be yourself. I mean it practically though, not inspirationally. If you're performing a version of yourself because you think that someone wants to see, the friends you make are going to be friends with that version, which is not useful to anyone. Just be actually you. Some people won't like it, that's fine. The ones who do are the only ones worth keeping anyway. And the last thing I'll say, and I think this is actually the most important thing, is that you don't need that many. Like, seriously. I used to have this idea in my head that having a big social circle was the goal. That the more people you were close to, the better you were doing. And then I had something close to that for a while and it slowly fell apart. And I ended up with like 2 people who actually showed up consistently. And those 2 people were worth more than the whole group ever was. I think there's a lot of social pressure, especially at this age, to seem like you have a full and active social life. Like you're always doing something, always with people, always busy. And if you're not that, then something must be wrong with you. But I think that pressure makes people spread themselves thin across a bunch of relationships that aren't really going anywhere, instead of actually investing in the few that are. You want a small number of people who actually know you, who you can call, like actually call, when something real happens. Not 100 people who recognize your face and occasionally like your posts. Quality over quantity is such a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's true and people keep forgetting it. So if you're stressing about why you don't have more friends, I don't know. Maybe that's not the right question. Maybe the question is whether the ones you do have are actually good ones. And if they are, that's enough. And if they're not, that's what you work on. Not adding more people, just finding better ones. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with all of this. I don't think it gets easier exactly. I think you just get better at knowing what you're looking for and being honest about whether you're finding it. Hope some of that was useful, or at least felt familiar. If you're new here, subscribe. Genuinely appreciate it. Drop a comment about literally anything. Doesn't have to be related to the video. It helps more than you'd think. I read them. See you soon.